Brea Segger, welcome to the podcast. It is such a pleasure to have you. For those of you who don't know, Brea and I have known each other for a couple years now from Costa Rica and are actually leading a workshop together, or a number of workshops, called Deep Water. So I wanted Brea to come in, share a little bit about, try to put language to the work that you do in the world, and to let people get a different or a new idea of who you are. So Brea, I'm going to ask you the most terrible question I can as an interviewer.
I'm like, Traver, put language to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. So Brea is a ninja and a magician and a mystic, and that's what she does. But she's also a normal human. What do you do in the world?
I've never used any of those three words to describe myself. So thank you. I love that. Okay. What do I do? It's almost easier to describe how maybe I got to this place of what I do, because really what I do now is I show up for people, whether that be in groups, retreat settings, online, in person, as myself. But to say that sounds extremely simple, and what the hell does that even mean? Right. And so what that brought me down, the path that I went down to be able to say, yeah, I just show up as myself. Some people, Bree's a healer. Brea fixes you. Brea sorts everything out. Brea fixes relationships. Brea brings people back together. And I'm like, I'm just there. I'm just seeing you as me. But I've been through a lot in my life and been dedicated to a particular path of coming into myself, where I was no longer holding on to the identities. I don't mean like they're all gone. Of course, I'm just, but really paying attention. What are those identities? What are all the things that I think are me that really aren't, that are society's rules and guides and all the stuff that we all hold on? And from that place, getting to see them, putting words to them, has now allowed me to see those in other people, and not in a way that has any judgment, like, damn, that's in myself. I see that because that's in me. Yep. And so the word, and we've made fun of this before, would be space holder, right? Or which is not the best word, but I don't want to say, I'm not a qualified therapist. I've done a lot of trainings and certifications, many of them of which I've stopped and not finished and completed. I don't want to take other people's work and then shove that out to the world and just take things, repeat, and give it out. I feel like the path or the people I work with, they want to show up in the world as themselves from a place of ease. And we can only show up from that place of ease if we're not holding on to all the other stuff and being pulled in all the other directions that really have nothing to do with us. And then we just get to show up as ourselves, as maybe a technician, as a plumber, as a counselor, as a husband, as a wife. But there's a lot of freedom in that. So I don't know. Does that make sense? Did I get anywhere there?
It does make sense. I'm gonna tease it out a little bit later. I would love, actually, if we could backtrack a bit, and if you wouldn't mind sharing a bit of your own personal history and some of what brought you here, so people may be able to identify with the path that you took, or at least understand it a little more.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town where I thought, and what I was told from many, whether it was my parents, my family, teachers, as many of us are, maybe less so now, but certainly, and this would be the 80s, that you're not okay as you are. You need to get a job, you need to make money, you need to fit into the rules, and alcohol is what you do to let all that go. And so this is your life and this is your world. And it felt very, very small to me. And I was very uncomfortable with that at a very young age. However, at the same time, even though there was a part of me, and I did have sort of, I don't know what to call it, but when I was 6 years old, I started having nervous breakdowns. And I was really aware that what was happening around me was not working with what was happening inside of me, but I had no words to express that. And so my parents in turn got the local priest to come from our church and try to sort me out. They sent me to therapists to try to sort me out. And the messaging I got was, you're wrong. Like, you're not okay. Something is deeply wrong with you. And I shrunk, and I shrunk. And I also was trying to prove myself at the same time. So I did really good academically. I played every sport under the sun. I tried to show up. I tried to be the perfect person. And then I turned 13 and I was like, F all of this. I'm so done. I started drinking quite heavily. I just said F you to everything and everybody around me. But that connection that I had as a child, specifically with nature. So I had this knowing, this intuition, and somehow this will be related somewhere in the conversation, I'm sure. I could go regenerate myself when I was alone in the sun, on the grass, or in a tree, like something like that. And that, I always was drawn to that. And so this is why I bring that in, is because this is what I would come back to as an adult. And I still believe in now, is we have everything we need inside of us. The earth holds that for us, but we have become so disconnected from it that we cannot access that anymore. And so I don't have a guideline to tell people what to do or how to be or what to think, but I know that when you spend the time with yourself in solitude, that you're very good at that, that, you know, and particularly in nature, because of just the energy that's in there and how we are nature, that something comes through us. And I have really spent a lot of time in that space, in that way. I mean, days, weeks, months, I don't know, of getting to know myself in a different way and seeing these different ways in which I was showing up. So I got a bit off track there.
No,
but
it's beautiful. Thank you. I want to come back to a sentence that you said and see if we can riff on it and play with it a little bit. You knew that what was going on outside of you didn't resonate, jive, match up what was going on inside of you. That's, first of all, profound for any age. What do you think it was about you that let you even acknowledge that at, you said 6?
At 6.
At 6? Like, that's insane. You know nothing else but what is around you, I believe, at that age. Talk me through, maybe not what was it about you, but what did it feel like? And the reason I'm asking the question, Brea, is I think it's the pain that most people have that they don't know how to put words to. Right? It's the quote of, to be healthy in a sick society, or whatever. I'm butchering the quote right now. So you were internally pinging off of, this is an unhealthy society, unhealthy home, an unhealthy environment. What did that feel like to you? Did it just feel like anxiety? Did it feel like depression? Did it feel like, get me out of my skin? Okay. What did it feel like?
So yes, it was a felt sensation. I couldn't put the words to it. My parents would see me screaming and crying. I was having, they're not exactly dreams. I would go to bed at night. Parents leave you in your room. Okay, go to sleep. And I would have these dreams, but I wasn't yet asleep, that I was dead. And that I was like looking down at earth. And this is my 6-year-old, right? I remember this all very vividly, but like, I don't have, I can't replay it exactly. Remember what it looked like in my closed eye state of not sleeping. And just being in this state of, this isn't right. Like, why am I alone in the dark? Why am I cut off? Why? I felt so lonely at age 6, and for most of my life, I felt so lonely. I was like, but I didn't feel lonely when I was in the grass or in the trees, but I felt really lonely in my own house. And so that was kind of the spark. But I also had in the same time, and this would go on. By the way, this lasted for years. This was every night for years, just so to put this in context, that I wanted to die, and I would die, and I would go, and this is the time of Care Bears. So if anyone remembers the Care Bears cartoon, I would die and I would see Jesus in a cloud, and I'd play with Care Bears, and I would ride a unicorn around, and there was a rainbow. And this was fun. My 6-year-old brain was like, I can do this for a while. This is really fun for a while. And then at some point my brain would go, wait, but now it's not fun anymore. I'm doing the same thing every single day. Because in my 6-year-old brain, we had days and nights, trying to understand time and space. this is the most repetitive thing. I'm lonely and I'm bored and I'm holding this deep aggravation in my system that like, it's not good enough. I'm not good enough. Life's not good enough. And that, all of that together caused this explosive anxiety that I held. I mean, my stomach wasn't working. Like there was all sorts of things that came out of that.
Yeah.
But it was really a felt sense of loneliness, depression, anxiety. But I also had these visuals of like, this doesn't match. None of this is working. These stories I'm being told, what the priest is telling me, what the parents are telling me, none of this is working. This doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And I just couldn't express it to anybody. I tried, but and who was going to fix it anyways? There was like, so this set me off at a very young age down this path, but it didn't look like I could not articulate it. But it was something that was always there with me going forward.
I just asked questions that I want to ask. Do you feel, I know you said you never used the word mystic, and I'm not educated and probably qualified enough to understand it at its depth. But if I were to say the childhood of a mystic would look like X, it would look like that. And in my definition of mystic here is someone who has access to quality or level of wisdom that most people don't have, or is so much bigger than them until they come into their own power that it does the things that you just listed. So I'm not sure if I'm asking a question or just sharing my thoughts, but I'm curious now, do you even have a relationship with that word, or is it too colored by the woo-woo and the conscious community that we both engage in so lovely?
Okay. So the truth is, I have an awareness of many different frequencies and energies that I recognize that many people aren't aware of, but they could be. There's nothing special about it. It's just that most of us haven't had that sense. We're so in the world. I mean, it's going to take us quickly into the world of distraction. For whatever reason, I wasn't distracted enough, or just something hit me in a different way when I was 6. Like it's that simple. Now we can, and some people seek this out, this sort of knowing of the other realms and worlds and energies and frequencies, and that's very real. But as soon as we put effort into it in a contrived way, we are going into our brain and we're using our brain to interpret it. And so this is why I don't use the word mystic, because it's not something that I think we as humans should be trying to go out and collect information from the invisible realms. I think we should get to connect with nature and trust that that's all within us and is accessible to everyone. And there's not really words for it. And we don't have to. And so this is why with the stuff we see on social and all the stuff is put this, all the healing world, all the stuff into a really bad light. There's these insane rules. You try hard, the answer's over there, everything's outside of you. And that is just not what, and don't get me wrong, I went down those paths to try to see if they were. And I was like, every time I came up short, I was like, this doesn't work. This person is saying something. This guru that I've spent however much money to be in, that everyone knows, is saying something that doesn't match how he or she is holding themselves inside. It's not the same thing. And so that just kept waking me up to like, okay, this isn't it. We don't need to be listening to people outside. Like there's reasons to, yes, listen to podcasts, books, all the things, take out of it. But what we want, but we need to come and spend that time in ourselves and not think it's going to show up like a lightning bolt of words and great mysticism. And we're now going to be retired Buddhas for the rest of our life.
With 7-figure paychecks and 9% body fat and clear skin and just ease every day. It's just gonna be the best. Yeah, I'm still waiting. Maybe next week. I want to thank you for that. Thank you. I want to hit on a subject that is pretty loaded, no pun intended. I know you said it was a big part of your upbringing, and I forget is a big part of a lot of people's life because I don't drink anymore and haven't in over a decade. How was alcohol a role in your life, and how do you see it in the distractionary removal from what's real aspect in current culture?
So the short answer is, if you're drinking excessively and blacking out, you're going to go to sleep without having thoughts and dealing with the universe's whatever these things are that I was experiencing, the anxiety, the depression, the loneliness, right? So
Yeah.
it was just a huge avoidance, like any
Mm,
other thing. But because it's so visceral, you physically, you're like, oh, I gotta go to sleep now.
right.
So that worked.
Mm,
And so that was really my teens in through my early 20s. I too haven't drank. I'm not for I don't really know how long it's been. It's been a very long time. Um Alcohol does a few things. So
mm,
there's each person's body has different relationships with different foods, drinks, whatever, herbs, doesn't matter. I've never seen alcohol be ingested and had a positive impact in the subtle layers of somebody, if that makes sense. Just,
yeah.
and that, I guess that's some mysticism talk right there. Not back. Yes, we have lots of science to tell you all about that and what's happening internally. But I mean, that's just what I've noticed. Okay.
Yeah.
Our body seems to reject it like a poison.
Mm,
And I think that people are really recognizing that if you can get over that mm, hump of like, I can be okay without maybe the exuberance that you have or the
mm,
carefreeness. Like, this is all the things we love about alcohol. We say the
right.
things, we show up, we move our body.
Right.
If we can get over that and be okay without that, oh my God, do we just start to feel better? I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know about you. I was the inflammation in my body, so my physical body was sluggish. I felt like the alcohol was killing me. I
Yeah.
mean, that along with alcohol obviously coincides with eating McDonald's at 3 a.m. And so there's some other things happening there too. But I think a lot of people a lot of people I know at least are reducing their alcohol, if not cut it out altogether. And I've
Yeah.
also found that people I work with who, now might listen to this podcast and now know that I don't drink, but generally
Mm,
don't know that I don't drink when they start working with me.
mhm,
And they will come to me one day and like, I found myself not drinking. And
mm,
I'm still not drinking. Oh,
yeah.
my body. And this has nothing to do with me telling them that they
Yeah.
shouldn't be drinking. This is because when we're truly connected to nature, we don't really want it that much. Or maybe we're
Right.
going to just use it in specific celebratory ways or that feel right in the moment. But we have a lot more discernment about when we use it. At least
Mm,
this has been my experience in that with the people that I've worked with.
okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's a loaded topic. People get very upset. Uh Less so more now than, I quit 11, 12 years ago, and there was like an uproar. Like, are you a raging alcoholic? It's like, no, I just think I want to try something different. And then there was like literal upset. Like, how could you do this? Why do you think you're better than us? And I remember just saying, like, I feel good. And if there's something wrong with that, fault me. But I feel good. My meditations are clearer. My writing is better. My sex life is better. My workouts are better. My sleep is better. I choose not to partake in this thing that I will also say I also choose not to be party to something that's responsible for so much human suffering, which is a different avenue to go down, but I find is very empowering for people once they do unplug from it. Is I'm just not engaged with that substance, which hurts a lot of people.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm around people that drink a lot and I think they're hilarious and I still have fun with them and it's great. And I love for them that their life still includes alcohol
Yeah.
until maybe one day it doesn't, or maybe it always will. Like, this is the thing. I really reject and I think this is where it comes from, where people are like, no one should drink ever. Okay.
Yeah.
I see that most bodies are not reacting to it well. That's
Yeah.
fair. But I drink coffee every day.
Right.
My body doesn't love that. And I'm still doing it. So like, who am I to say that coffee's better than alcohol? Like we do as humans, we do these funny things to ourselves that we probably know aren't quite right. And yes, I know all the studies that coffee's great for you. Truth is, I know in my body it has a slightly negative impact,
Yeah.
not negative enough to make me stop drinking it.
Yeah.
But that's just my system, right? And everybody's is different. So
don't fuck with my coffee. That's what I'm going to name this podcast. It'll either be like Ninja Mystic Magician or Don't Fuck with My Coffee with Brea Segger.
Yeah. And and I don't think coffee's in my life forever. I don't think it is. I want it to be. I do. I'm going to try my best. We're taking it to the bitter end, but I don't think it's going to be. I think, and this is the thing, is when we don't try to force change, when it comes naturally, it just happens and then you don't miss it. Kind of how like when you stopped drinking, when I stopped, it wasn't like, oh my God, the withdrawal. And I mean, I've worked with people getting off heavy drugs, porn addictions, like cheating in their marriages, like all of this stuff. But there's something around, it's all kind of related, right? When that inner work, alignment, listening, whatever we want to call it, starts happening, changes start happening very naturally without force. And they just are. And I think that's a whole different approach that I would love to see more to people overcoming or working with addictions than that we've had, because the other way, it kind of works, but it's a force, right? And it works until it doesn't.
Can we use this as a segue to talk about the idea of ease, EASE? And the reason I wrote that down when you brought it up is my experience of personally working with you is that I will leave the journeys, the workshops, the things that I've engaged with you in, and I think I even said this after the last one. I said, I don't remember a lot and I don't think a lot profoundly happened, which what I meant was like nothing ballistic happened, right? I wasn't sobbing or screaming or throwing up or all, just like, no, it was a kind of even keel experience. And my life has profoundly changed after each time I have worked with you. Now, my old programming as an American dude is if it doesn't hit you like a freight train, there isn't some big ballistic reaction, then how could it ever lead to real transformation? So I'd love for you to tease out how we can even implant into the audience or people listening that there is a different way other than the hammer. Take it away.
Isn't it so, I'm going to get comfortable here. Isn't it so funny that we are not actually okay to live in ease? Like I know myself included, I know very few people that are comfortable in ease. So just even touching upon it, real ease for a moment. And I know this is hard, peace, like true peace, where maybe your mind is still going off. I don't mean like everything's dead quiet. I mean, just this deep sense of okayness, peace, ease. That once we even feel that for a moment, our whole system can react and just be like, oh my God, that is not safe. That is not an okay place to go. So this is how ingrained and how deep it is in humans that we can't be okay in that space. So we're not actually okay with being okay. So that's the first part of it. And so, yes, my work is, can you actually be okay with being okay? I don't say it like that, but like, this is what we're getting to, is getting to know that space allows you to reside in there when you realize that you don't have to fear being okay. And I know everyone will listen and be like, well, no, I'm not scared of being okay. That's all I want. When you actually feel it, when that's not truly living in you, it's like, what the hell was that? And so, that's one part of it. And the other part of it is these big experiences, which happen, especially in men's work and whatever, these can be part of life, right? Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's volatile, sometimes it's huge, sometimes it's screaming, sometimes it's a physical release. This is how some of us release and move through things. But, and there's a big but with that, is that the processing and the interpretation of that experience is being processed through the mind. And what I truly believe is that we can, never mind what the mind is doing, we can let our body that has so much intelligence do the work for us. So I'll just say this. We think somehow that okay, I'm going to go on this healing journey. I'm going to get rid of my anger, my resentment, my shame, my guilt, and I'm going to get rid of it. And so I'm going to just sit there and think about all of that every day. So your mind just gets to work. Okay, more of that, more of that, more of that. Oh, wow. And wake up the next day. Wow, I'm still feeling all of that stuff. You've just given over to your mind to sort this out, where you have this whole connected wisdom to the universe with it inside of you. And I mean this in like a real way, like as nature connectedness, as we can see and feel. And we can let that sort everything out for us if we allow that. And so I'm not too interested in what's happening in the mind's interpretation of, was that a big event? Was it a little one? Was it explosive or not? It's more like, can you just let your physical body sort that out? And sometimes it happens big. Sometimes it happens in stillness, but it doesn't mean that it was more or it was less. So we think we can control, like, it's wild that we have this idea we can control these pathways. Like, are you going to control each synapse, each cell, each molecule in your body? Like, we can't even remotely comprehend this. And this is the same thing in the healing world, quote unquote. We think that we can interpret little bits of it, like this trauma happened, and so we need to move through it this way, and then this, and then again, our brains just don't have the capacity to recall or to understand fully all of it, but our bodies do. Our bodies have that memory. And so I like to think of it as like, let's let that innate knowledge in us, the wisdom in us, to do the work for us. And I think that's more of what you experienced. And so you kind of, oh, yeah, everything changed, but yet it wasn't this big thing, because it doesn't need to be a big thing. Sometimes it does.
Do you ever get resistance to that from clients or from people in workshops that may come to the end of their experience and say, like, I knew to say, I don't think anything quote profound, or I didn't even say profound, dynamic or cathartic happened, but I intuitively knew like a lot fucking moved. But do you get people that'll come and say, like, I don't think anything happened, that was a waste of time or a waste of money?
Very fortunately, everyone that works with me comes through a referral somehow. And
Gotcha.
so I'm very fortunate in that way. So
Yeah.
there's that trust that's already there, and someone's probably already explained to them, like, hey, this is going to change your life, but probably not in the way you expected it to. And so with that, and I try to explain that to what we're doing, but then I also articulate in a session what's happening, what are the parts that maybe you're not aware of happening, where your brain's trying to control it, so that people understand, you know, what's happening there. So no, that doesn't happen, but I definitely could see that it could happen. And for people that I mentor for 6 months, a year, if they haven't had sessions with me before, they're expecting answers, and I'm not giving them answers,
Yeah.
right? And so there's a difference there too. And by the way, this was my old way of working. I thought this was so great. I can give everybody answers. I could heal people. I can fix everything. Oh my God. Disempowering them and their ability to go through their own path, their own experiences, their own healing. And the weight that I was carrying, that I was responsible for other people's journeys in life and their healing and their processes. And I think this is the foundation that a lot of this self-help, healing, improvement, spiritual world has been built on. And I think it's really a disservice to others and to ourselves.
Yeah. I completely agree. Hey folks, hope you're loving this conversation with Brea. I think I mentioned early in the interview that Brea and I are hosting a very unique workshop this November in Nosara, Costa Rica. It is for a small group of men. We have 8 spots total, and I believe as of this recording, 4 of them are already taken. And we are taking these guys in a deep dive. The name of the workshop is Deep Waters for just this reason. There is a unique element to the workshop that is medicinal that I won't talk about in this ad. So I'd love for you to go check out on the sales page. This is a day 1 where the medicine is used, and then 4 days where I get you guys for men's work. So this is something that's going to be wildly different than anything I've ever taught. If you're curious about it, or you know a man who may be curious, please go to Traver Boehm, TraverBoehm.com/Deep Waters. All right. Hope to see you in Costa Rica. Let's get back to Brea. Talk me through, Brea, I don't have the language. I'll say when I've worked with you, I've come in, I've lay down, put on a blindfold. A number of hours later, I take it off, and things are radically different. I would love to know from your perspective, if you can put language to it. I may even have asked you this after we work together. Like, what happens for you? I know this is going to be challenging to articulate, but what's going on in your system when you're sitting across from someone working with them?
Okay, so this comes back to your first question. But first, I want to say I love that you use the word blindfold instead of sleeping mask.
What's the
So,
difference? Is it a different?
blindfold is like the kinky side,
Oh
and
man.
you're wearing a sleeping mask. You're just going internal. I was like, oh, that's so good.
So Bree puts a hood on me and ties me up,
Yeah,
and
so
come to our
great.
workshop, everybody. It'll be great.
So great. Um,
A
so
sleeping mask.
your first question when what I said was I'm just being me. And
Okay.
so if you can imagine different, whether this is people doing plant medicine, whether you're in a long therapy session, you're in some sort of past life regression, like all of these different things, you generally have someone in the room with you manipulating the energy
Mm.
around you, in you. uh,
Hmm.
Reiki people, energetic workers, pushing things in, pulling things out. Like there's a manipulation often of the energy and of the
Mm.
space. My work is just based around me being me
Okay.
without trying to control the situation, but staying centered in myself, not getting wrapped up in somebody else's experience, not trying to make it wrong, not trying to make it right, not going like, oh, poor them, they've experienced so much pain. All of these sorts of things amplify the person's experience. And as people that are healers and want to help others, we often have huge empathetic hearts. And for a very good reason, we're like, oh my God, but what is that doing? But we already know it's amplifying ours, it's amplifying theirs, and then energy's bouncing back and forth. And we've just made something that the person was quite capable of moving through into
Mm.
this much bigger thing. So this is the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is like being in a state of neutrality, not forced neutrality, not like I'm a stone, just being you, but without all the junk
Mm.
allows people to move through if they're ready in their own way. That's correct for them in their perfect timing, what their system wants to move through and get rid of, release, move into
Mm.
alignment to whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
And so I'm just being me. I'm just being there. I'm not being attached to. I don't need you to leave feeling better than you did before you came in. I don't need
Mhm.
to be you to become enlightened when you're there in front of me. I don't need your physical issues to fix. I don't need any of that. I'm just there.
Mm.
And so many people come to me, they're so worn out. I'm talking about, I don't know, massage therapists, healers, anybody, like all these
Sure.
people that are in these realms of work that are helping others, they're exhausted
Yeah.
because they feel like, with the best of intentions, that they're responsible for other people's journeys, health, wellness, relationships, and so forth. And I think we really need to challenge that. Yeah, it kind of comes back to what I said earlier. I'm there as a witness first and foremost, but with a witness without getting wrapped up in what's happening or the story or whatever the person's experiencing.
Okay. Let's talk about that exhaustion. I'd love to talk about two things specifically because I know they're in the collective and they're big things that there may even be some shame or guilt or upset about admitting. And I know we're about to do something with men, but I think this is with both men and women. And the two subjects are exhaustion and loneliness, one that you brought up before.
Yeah.
What do you see? I don't think it's just the healing community. And it's just, I agree with you that a big part of people who are of service and have been of service, especially throughout COVID, are pretty exhausted. But it feels like most folks are exhausted right now
Mm-hmm.
on a level that they truly can't comprehend. When people come to you with that, what are some of the ways that you're being with them, if you can put language to this, that lets them see it or move through it or shift it? How do you specifically work with exhaustion?
So we are exhausted because we are so busy not being ourselves,
Bam,
right?
bam.
So when someone comes and starts talking about that, and I'm just reflecting back to them what they've said, essentially, but bringing in how those different ways are exhausting, how that's all fucking exhausting. Trying to be this, trying to do that, da 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 da, all the stuff that society's put on them. One, when people are just hurt and can see that in themselves, that allowance for it is like, okay. Like, there's something about it just being seen and being known and getting to admit it, because this is all of us, by the way. So, what you just said, like, there's nothing to think like we're doing it wrong or we messed up. Yes, I realize some people are not exhausted, but for the most part, people are like, they are exhausted. I mean, they're exhausted in so many different ways. And so I don't try to push things away or to fix things for people. It's like, can you allow yourself to be exhausted? Can you allow yourself to feel the loneliness in you? My, call it nervous system, my system, whatever, because it's attuned to that. It's not really holding that. When I'm exhausted, it's just there. I don't have an attachment to it. There's something about being in proximity to another person that their system picks up that in mind, where it's okay, and it allows theirs, which is probably what you've experienced with me. It's just like, oh, right, it's safe. It's okay to feel this. It's okay to be with this, whether that's exhaustion, loneliness. You allow yourself to be with it. And then what? Oh, it just kind of goes away. We don't force that to go away. I don't mean you're not going to get exhausted again in your life. I mean, your relationship and awareness and attachment to it as either a subconscious identity or as a cognitive identity. I'm the person that's always tired. I work so hard, whatever it is. Those things start to melt away because they just don't need to hide anymore. It's just like, oh yeah, that's there. That was your coping mechanism. It's okay. And the loneliness is a bigger subject because I think, and talking about the here is a big part of that. I don't think people recognize how most people are also very lonely, right? Like, that's why you brought that up. I think one time I talked to you and I think you used the word loneliness epidemic, if I recall too, right?
Yeah.
People feel lonely and they're around people all the time, but they're also around technology all the time, but it's because they're not really connecting in that truer, deeper sense, because I think that truer, deeper sense has to start with yourself first. And I don't think until that connection is there with ourselves can we truly allow that to be felt with others. We're not letting people fully see us and we're not fully seeing them. And there's something about that with being alone, getting to be okay alone, and also getting to be okay alone in nature. And by the way, I'm just talking like grass in your nearby park, right? Like, I mean, for me, it's mountains and it's out there, but I just mean touching the earth and connecting to a tree or the plants in your house or something like that. The wisdom that is in there, that again isn't the voice that's going to come down and tell you how to live your life. But there's something about those things together that I think start to clear up this feeling of deep loneliness, because we start to let go of our identity. And, I'll say to people, in my opinion, I could be wrong. This is what I've noticed, and I'm alive. So what I'm going to say is my opinion only. But we know you don't take your body with you when you die. In my mind, you don't take your mind with you when you die, and you don't take your emotions with you when you die. You have an infinite awareness, and you could access your mind, your awareness if you wanted to. But like, that's so trivial compared to being the woven fabric of the universe, right? And so again, our mind tries to like make sense of this, like, and so we become so wrapped up in this identity of our careers, our children, our partners, our whatever, our house, our car. And when we discover a new relationship with ourselves, those things that our identity was relying upon, they're not so important. Of course, our relationships are still important. It's not to say that, but we realize that this is just a moment in time, and we don't need to interpret or have the answers to the universe. We recognize and just know in a deeper sense. You can feel it. It's a visceral sense that I have of this, that you'll hear people talk about and that you feel yourself too. And you can't really put words to it, but you don't feel that same sense of loneliness. And when the loneliness comes in, your relationship with even that is okay. Like, oh, fuck, I'm lonely. Okay. And you're just with it, and it's a different way. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. I want to ask you another loaded question. And the reason I'm going to, this is the word I just wrote down. People ask me all the time, were you not lonely in the dark for that much time? And of course I said, yeah, there were times when I was lonely, but the vast majority of the time I wasn't, because I was connecting to my soul.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious how that word lives with you, resonates with you, exists with you. Do you have a relationship with it? Is it something that fits with you, the word soul?
So growing up, the thing is that the soul almost had a picture, especially in a religious context, right? This
Yeah, yeah,
outline of this white glowing thing. And
yeah,
then you go into the spiritual world and it has 7 chakras, and this is your soul, and it's supposed to look like this.
yeah.
And And so the reason I don't use that word a lot, although it is because I think it puts too many boundaries on what that
Mm,
is. It's
okay,
trying to take something and put it into our mind and give it either like a picture or a constraint. And I
gotcha.
don't think there's a constraint to it. And that's the difference. And that's why I don't get too wrapped up in that world, so to speak. I have a great understanding of it, but it's
Sure.
because I think the words and the pictures and the descriptors of it really inhibit what is truly within us. And I think the only glimpse we get of that is to really look at Earth. Zach Bush is a great person to listen to
Mhm.
on this stuff. His description of the different relationships and how right down to the molecular level, really. And you're just like, okay, this is
Mhm.
Earth. Like, this is
Mhm.
nature. This is us. This is inside of us.
Mhm.
Our brain can't comprehend this. And so the soul is infinite and vast. And I just never wanted to feel or to give the impression that this is some sort of constrained thing that goes into a little pretty box and has 7 colors on
Right. Totally,
it.
totally fair. Thank you. Thank you. I want to switch gears quickly because you and I are holding a workshop specifically for men called Deep Waters. I'm curious if you find in your work an articulable, whatever the word is, articulatable difference between how men and women operate internally.
Oh, now see, that's a loaded question.
And is one better than the other?
All right. So I would say my client base is split up actually 50% women, 50% men. So
Really?
I do really see both.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just speak from my own understanding of their path. And, if people are listening, you might want to watch this video because I'm going to do some pointing with my finger. And I think you've heard me do this before. But a woman's path, and this is just let's just say this is someone that comes as like has an awareness, hey, I don't want to live how I've been living anymore. I don't know what this future looks like. I want to just see what happens, and I want to change the way things are. And so let's just say the person comes to me, and their process as a woman will look like they'll start here down on the bottom of the screen, and then they'll go over here and they'll check this out. And then they'll go over here and they'll check this out. And then they'll go up here, and then they'll go here, and they'll come all the way back down here. And then they'll go here, and then here, and then they'll go here. And this is what it looks like for women, because in our essence, there's more creativity, less linear, less structure. And
Yep.
I'm just speaking energetically here, right?
Sure.
For men, there's a bit of a longer lag time. They usually come
Mm,
to me later in life,
mm,
and things are a bit more pent up, a little bit more explosive. They start at the same place, Brie, I'm here, and they go whoosh straight
mm.
up in a straight line once they've decided to.
Okay.
And that is I'm talking energetically here. This is not like something perfect and that I could box up and put a bow on,
Sure.
but it is a different way. And the work is not different. It's not that.
Mm,
It's just the way of processing and moving through things is different. And I mean, this is kind of backed up by the science we know of the mind, where women are holding 1,000 things in their mind and they're not really concentrating on one thing. They very
right.
widespread, right? And whereas men
Yeah.
are a little bit more focused and have that ability. I'm just here. I'm just doing this one thing.
Yep.
And I mean, again, there's so many variations of that. It's not to put any one, but it's sort of just that's how that is. And that's what I see with the people I
Yeah.
work with.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Brie, what do you wish people knew about transformation? Or if I could give you the magic wand over the collective, I know we'd like to pop some of the performative aspects and some of the more manipulative aspects, but for someone who's just doing their own work, perhaps, and not engaging with a particular group or a particular style or dogma, what do you wish you could share with them or have them walk away from with a different understanding perhaps of transformation and or healing, if we want to use a more loaded word, than what they probably believe now?
There's something very hard and simple about it. It's
Mm,
so simple that it's hard. Like, it goes back to what I said at the beginning. I'm just being me.
mm,
Do you know how much grinding, tears, pain, uh, awfulness went into,
yeah,
to just be like, oh yeah, I just show up as me. But
yeah,
that's in this work. I mean, this for everybody.
mm,
And so soon as we start opening ourselves up to that, the simplicity of it almost seems overwhelming because it's so easy to be like, yes, but I read and this guru said this and I'm supposed to do this path.
mm,
I have to meditate for 2 hours a day. I got to start blessing everybody.
yeah,
I need my beads on, there's that side of it. Or there's like the person I need to do every ayahuasca ceremony for like the next
mhm,
year. And I'm going to be very busy searching for answers. And we easily get wrapped up in searching for something outside of ourselves.
mm,
My suggestion to people is to take 20 minutes a day, more if you can, less if you need to. Can you lay on your bed, lay on your couch, close your eyes, and just be there? Notice your mind, notice what's happening in your body, notice your emotions. Like, it's so simple and it's so hard for people to do. Like, that almost is like torture for most people listening. Like, oh my God, that's just
right,
torture.
right,
It's like, why would I do that? My phone's going to be beeping. I have emails to get to. That is insane.
right,
But I don't know how else we develop this relationship with
mhm,
ourselves if we don't slow down and then allow ourselves that sort of time.
yeah,
I mean, you could go lay out in the sun too or whatever. It doesn't matter, but the point is to just stop for a bit. And then the other side of that I'll say is like, doesn't that just show us how disconnected we've become when 20
mm,
minutes seems torturous?
yeah,
This is how our ancestors this is how we lived. Born in
mhm,
79, our 80s were like, yes, there was a lot of stuff we had to do at school, but I also had hours to go and be in the forest, right?
yeah, yeah,
And so did the generations before us. There was an allowance to just be without the amount that's on our plate right now is insane. And I hope really people know that. Like, the amount of emails you get a day, text
yeah,
messages you get a day, all the bills, the insurance, all the things you need to pay, the making sure this doesn't shut down and this opens, keeping your relationships intact or going through ones that are not well, dealing with people's health, maybe your own health, maybe your loved one's health. Like, it goes
yeah,
on and on. It's insane. And this is very new. We're really the first generation that has dealt with this much coming to us because of, partially the amazingness of technology and being connected, and also how it has limited us in so many ways from just being able to be and be okay in ourselves.
yeah,
So
oof,
there's so much there.
yeah,
We should be able to be in our own space for hours a day.
yeah,
That's my opinion.
yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if I ever told you, Brie, this was a decade ago, Boulder Outdoor Survival School in Utah. I did a month-long program with them, and they just take you out in the woods and you survive with almost nothing for 30 days. And on the two stories from that, on the very first night of the program, it was a dozen of us and three instructors. And we drove out into the woods, the van left, and they said, just lie on your back here for about an hour. And what we want you to realize is this was how it used to be up until about 150 years ago. So throughout all of human history, every lineage, every generational thing that you have connected to, this is what it was. So we're
Yeah.
not teaching you anything you don't know. And that to me was profound. And the course ends with a 5-day solo where it's just you are alone in the woods by yourself for 5 days, and for the last 5 days, and then the whole group walks out together. And people always ask me when I got done, were those 5 days really boring? And I remember thinking, not for a second. And I didn't want to give them like the hippie answer, but some of the hippie answer was like, no, I just watched the squirrels play. Mm-hmm. Or like just sitting there staring at the river was fascinating, in addition to having to make fire and check on the shelter and yada yada. But there were hours of just watching the clouds, and at no point was like, man, I miss email. I miss the AI emails that are like, Traver, Boehm, we love the Uncivilized podcast, which is mama. No. So I concur with you that 20 minutes will radically at least point out how disconnected we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it starts getting our self used to pausing for a period of time. And I think this is it. This is it's a memory. I agree with you. This is something we already know innately in us, but we've sort of forgotten. It's not really accessible right now. So like, building muscles or learning a new skill, we have to kind of go through a bit of that pain at first. It's uncomfortable. But do you want to have a relationship with yourself in a deeper way or not? And there's no rules. You don't have to. Right. I mean, gosh, there's no rush. Everyone take your time, whatever your life is too, but for those that do, I think that's a great place to start. Or go do what you did in Utah. That sounds great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a whole nother set of stories. Folks, if you're interested in working with Brea and I, we have a workshop coming up in Nosara, Costa Rica in November. And you can go to traverboehm.com/deep waters. If that event isn't the right timing for you, feel free just to hop on a wait list with us. And Brea, I truly appreciate you coming in here, sharing all of this. I appreciate what you have done for my own life personally. So thank you so much. And this conversation has been a pleasure. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, it was so fun. Thank you so much for having me on. And I'm so excited for November. And yeah, I can't wait. So, and hope to see some of the people listening to this year and down there in Costa Rica.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If this podcast moved you in any way or this episode, please share it with someone you love. Brea, have a great rest of your day.
You too.